How's it going tonight, everybody? Sorry about the delay. Had to get a couple things before we started. And just in advance, I apologize for the sickness you hear in my voice. I'm still getting over the flu, but I feel a little better. And I wanted to talk to you guys because a lot of stuff has happened recently. A couple transfer rumors, couple changes being made to Apple TV and MLS Season Pass, which I think is a good thing for the league. And we're going to talk about that tonight. We'll probably go close to an hour or as long as I can possibly go. So I do apologize for the stuffiness in my voice. And I appreciate you all tuning in tonight. If you don't mind, please like this video, the stream down below, share with a friend far and wide. Let's grow the audience as much as we can. Comment if you have any questions. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We are like 8 subscribers away from 5,500. We have a little bit less than a month until the MLS season opener, and I think that we're going to hit that 6,000 by MLS opening day because of the momentum and all the excitement you guys have for this league and everything that's going on right now. So I'm very excited. Appreciate the members stopping by tonight. We have Cringe. He says, "Are you watching the Inter Miami Universitario match?" I am not watching that. I saw a couple highlights from it, but I'm not currently watching it. Mr. says, "Hi, Will." Mr. Appreciate you for being a member of the chat and stopping by tonight. Casey Ellis says, "The weight of Lucho is about to be off of FC Cincinnati's fans' backs." We'll talk about that in a little bit. And then my good friend Andrew says, "What's up, bro? Appreciate you for being here tonight, Andrew." Q Kenny says, "Joveljic don't want him to leave." We'll talk about that. But let's get into this Apple TV change because this has been a pretty favorable thing that we've seen. A lot of good feedback tonight or today when I post about it. So this is awful announcing. And they say Major League Soccer is trying to make good on its promise to make MLS Season Pass more accessible of fans during the 2025 season, which we all know has been a issue for MLS. There's been a lot of people saying that it's because it's behind the paywall or because it's on the app that they're not as inclined to tune in, right? But they're changing that. They're taking some steps. It's going to help. For the first time ever, MLS and Apple are making the all-in one streaming service available for purchase on Xfinity and DirecTV, according to a report by Alex Silverman of the Sports Business Journal. Previously, customers could only purchase MLS Season Pass through Apple TV. Additionally, T Mobile customers will receive free access to the Season Pass, similar to the league's partnership with the mobile carrier during the 2023 season. Now, the 2023 season, there were a lot of people that were watching MLS Season Pass because of that promotion with T Mobile. And then in 2024, from what I heard, they had no interest of doing that again. They didn't want to have a partnership with, or T Mobile wasn't interested in doing anything with them, or there was like some type of discrepancy of like compensation for doing it or what they were willing to pay. So they couldn't come to terms. They didn't have it on T-Mobile in 2024. Now, I don't know how many of you guys watched MLS Season Pass in 2023 through T-Mobile. I mean, in 2023, man, you could get this season pass for free in so many different ways. Like, I got it sent by the league. My friend Fabian knew somebody at T-Mobile had a bunch of free season passes. He hooked me, that he knew and was, giving people hookups with that. So there was a lot of people that had access to MLS Season Pass because of T-Mobile. Now, I'm curious, did any of you watch MLS Season Pass because of T-Mobile in 2023, or did you guys just subscribe? Or hell, did you guys just not subscribe at all? I'm curious. How did you guys subscribe to Apple TV in 2023 and in 2024? And if I'm not mistaken, because the T-Mobile merger with Sprint, that's currently the biggest cell phone provider, at least it's number 2. They have 130 million subscribers. So there's going to be a lot of people who is going to have access to MLS Season Pass if they want it, right? That's the key. Do they want to watch MLS Season Pass? I don't know. But I'm looking right now to see how many users they have. Okay, so they have 130 million users, subscribers to T-Mobile as of December 31st, 2024. So there's 130 million people who could have MLS Season Pass if they want it. So I'll be curious to see how many people actually do that. We'll see. But that's definitely going to help and expose them to a wider range. Also, it says customers that purchase MLS Season Pass through Xfinity or DirecTV will be able to access games directly through their paid TV provider with matches including in the channel guide. This is huge because they'll be able to just watch it casually on TV. Now, they do have to pay for it still, but you have to pay for Sunday ticket, right? I mean, not every game is free. So I mean, the local games are free, obviously, but not every NFL game is free. So you have to buy Sunday ticket and access it through whatever your streamer is or your cable provider is. So that is going to make it easier for certain people. This alone should give the league substantially more exposure than its first 2 years of the Apple TV deal, where games were tucked away exclusively on the Apple TV app. A smaller linear package with Fox and FS1 is what they had. Both Xfinity and DirecTV customers will receive a 1-week free trial of MLS Season Pass beginning on February the 22nd. Additionally, Xfinity customers will be granted free access to MLS 360, the league's whip-around show, all season long with or without Season Pass subscription. Perhaps the biggest change for the upcoming season isn't accessibility on the traditional TV providers, but alterations MLS is making to its schedule. Beginning on February the 23rd, MLS will debut. Now, this is a huge thing in my opinion. This is something very important, I think. Beginning on February the 23rd, MLS will debut Sunday Night Soccer, a standalone window game that will highlight marquee matches each week. The game will be available for free to anyone with Apple TV with an Apple TV Apple TV Plus subscription. A subscription to Season Pass will not be required. So, but you have to subscribe to Apple TV Plus, which is like $5 a month. But that's still nice. That's not too bad. That's a big deal to me, honestly, because now we're gonna have primetime games. Imagine the Premier League or the NFL if all the games were just played at the same time and there wasn't that primetime Monday, Sunday night game, in the case of the Premier League Sunday night games and Saturday night games. This is huge. Like, they get to build up this narrative, this storyline about making this a big deal. So I think this is a huge, huge win for us as fans, having a Sunday night primetime game that we desperately needed. They would play Sunday games in the middle of the day, though. Like, they'd play at like 2:00 in the afternoon or something like that on Sundays, or 4:00. I'm glad that they're sticking to a Sunday night match every Sunday, primetime game. And this is going to be exciting to see what happens. I'm very excited to see how this plays out for the MLS season. We got 45 people in the chat, guys. I think we have like 15 likes so far. We got to get that up to like 50. Let's get the 50 likes tonight. Let's try to get 100 like we've been hitting 100 every single stream, but we got to at least hit 50 by the halfway point. So smash that thumbs up button down below if you haven't already. And let me know what you guys think about the MLS changes to Apple TV. Are you in favor of it? Are you against it? I will put a poll down below to see what you guys think. Do you guys like the new changes to Apple TV? See what you guys think about that. I like it. I think it's pretty good. I think that the Sunday night thing is going to be huge. Mr. says, I wasn't subscribed in 2023. I just watched the free games. I subscribed at the start of last season. Yeah, I subscribed, or I've had both seasons because I just watch all this as much as I can. Cringe, do you think it's a bigger loss losing Lucho or a better gain getting Danke? Let me think about that one, and we'll talk about it in a minute when we get into the Cincinnati situation. We'll talk about the transfers here in just a second. Lewis says, that was so needed. Going to be a late one every Sunday for me in England. Hey, look, I would love to have those late night games, though. I mean, that's what's cool. Is it late or is it like an early morning for you? No, I understand what you mean, but I think it'll be fun, especially from like the American perspective. That will be interesting to see how well. But here's the thing, too. They're going to have to promote these games better. They're going to have to get people excited to want to watch these games. They're going to have to get people, like, promote the hell out of them. Like I tweeted this the other day. The way they're promoting Severance right now is perfect. They need to do that same thing for Apple. They need to promote the hell out of Apple and MLS. They need to promote the hell. They need to have messy commercials. Honestly, they should have done this a month ago. They need to have messy commercials with MLS everywhere for like the first like a month, at least 2 months leading up into the MLS season. I haven't done that yet, but it's still early. Let's see. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Uh, Andrew, Metro Bulls TV says it's a start. It just feels like the league needs to promote itself better. And yeah, that's kind of like that goes hand in hand with what I said. They can have the best product possible, but they also have to be able to promote it. The NFL is a great product, but they still promote it really well. They're promoting those games a week in advance, the primetime games. We need to be seeing ads every week promoting MLS to get people interested and just like embed it in their brain that this week there's a big game. It's LA Galaxy versus New York City FC or LAFC versus Inter Miami. They need to be posting that every single week and just really drilling that into everybody's mind that that is a primetime game that's coming up. We'll see if they do that, but you know, that's something that has to get better. Jose says he has mixed feelings about it. Well, I mean, what would make it better? Like what could they do that would make you feel better about it? Because I think this is definitely better than what they were doing. Mr. Mister says anything that gets more eyes on the league is a good thing. And that is the most important thing. We need more eyes on the league. We need more people watching the league. We need more people just to catch a regular game and for people to know who certain players are in the league and teams and like just have some familiarity with certain teams. I told you guys a story a couple weeks ago about my friend Vince, who is a huge MLS fan, and he's been a supporter of the league since like I think he said like the 90s, like the late 90s. And this was one of the most checked out seasons he has ever been a part of, just because he said they lost him. And that he's back in, he's watching, he's committed, he's kind of accepted what it is. But he didn't know, I don't think he even knew who Kalina was this year, because Kalina really, blew up this year for Charlotte. But he didn't know who he was. We need to do a better job of like having people know who some of these superstars are in the league. Like Lucho Acosta. People know who Lucho Acosta is. People know who Cucho Hernandez is. Like, we know who they are, but we need to have people who are casuals know who these guys are. And I just don't think they do a good enough job of doing that. Davey says Nick Cushing broke Lucho Acosta. Maybe he did. I think there's something else that might have broke him, but we will see. Jose says, I just hit the like button. I appreciate it, Jose. And guys, if you haven't already, 62 people in the chat right now. Like the stream down below. We're at 28, 22 away from 50. I know we can hit that before the halfway point. So smash that like button down below. And also, if you haven't already, we're at the 6 members of the chat. Appreciate all the people who have joined MLS Moves membership on the channel. Check it out. There's a link down below to be a member of the channel. Only 10 cents a day. Helps the channel out. The content you like that I make helps me out tremendously. There's going to be some special perks like video sneak peeks, recommendations, Q&As we're going to do with members only. So check it out down below. There's a link down below. 10 cents a day. It helps us out. Become a member of the channel. Let's see. Executive producer Herb says, hey, Will, first time catching a live show, not the sidetrack, but Dinelson, FC Dallas is an honorable mention on the worst signings in MLS. Yes, I agree with that. And there were some guys that you could have made an argument for, like the Shaqiri. Who else that was really bad? There was a couple other people that was on the. I'm trying to remember who. There was another good mention, a good shout recently that was a huge bust. It's slipping my mind right now. Oh, Steven Gerrard. Yeah, I mean, there's several good players, but my whole thing about the list was not just about. It was about the expectations when they came into the league and also what they paid. Now, Shaqiri, I was never really sold on, so like I didn't really expect him to dominate the league. They did overpay for him and stuff, but Lorenzo Insigne paying him, $14 million a year. I mean, he should have been one of the best players in the league. So that's why he is so high on my list of busts. Isaiah Carter, friend of the show and good friend of mine in real life, says, okay, I'll like it, but only because you're my boy. Appreciate it, my good friend. Oh, we got Jose, a new member of the channel. Jose, I appreciate you for becoming a member of the channel. Got 7 members now, guys. Really appreciate that. Really helps the channel out quite a bit. Aaron Bupenza is definitely a huge bust too. That is a good shout. That is definitely a good shout. The only thing about Aaron Bupenza, now you could make an argument with the bust about him. He's very forgettable, which I guess is why he's a bust. So we'll see. We will see. Maybe in the future, I'll do a top 10 and add some other guys to it. Mr. Richard, as the level of player being attracted to the league keeps improving, which is going to improve the product, and I think you'll see more in the future. Okay, so let's just round this up, and we'll get into the transfers here. So yes, they're changing it to where Xfinity, DirecTV, T Mobile all have access to Apple TV, all have access to MLS Season Pass, and you can watch it on DirecTV, MLS Season Pass. You can watch it on Xfinity now, and T-Mobile users get it for free. If I'm not mistaken, every T-Mobile user, 130 million of you guys, get this for free. That's the new policy, kind of like it was in 2023. So a lot of people have access to MLS Season Pass readily available to you for free, which is nice. So let's see how many people sign up for it, because a lot of people had access to it and didn't sign up, but that was pre-Messi. Now, a lot of people, after they found out Messi signed, went back and said, okay, I got to sign up. I have to sign up for MLS Season Pass. So we'll see what happens with that. And also, too, it says Apple's top broadcast team, play-by-play announcer Jake Zevin, analyst Taylor Twellman, and sideline reporter Andrew Wiebe will handle broadcast duties for the new package of games. So I guess they're going to do every Sunday night game. And there was a report today that I'm not too excited about where they said that every game is going to be from a neutral site, or it's not going to be on site. It's going to be at a studio. I'm not a big fan of that. I wish they were at the game, because it's obviously different. You can see the environment, the atmosphere. You're part of it. I don't really like calling games from a studio. So that's obviously a downside. I'm not a big fan of that. But that's what they're planning to do in 2025. We will see what happens. Let's move on to our first transfer news. Hope I answered most of your questions and gave you a good rundown of what has happened with the new MLS Season Pass and the new Apple TV changes. Okay. So Lucho Acosta on the move. FC Cincinnati reportedly agreed to transfer fee with Estudiantes for star attacker, the 2023 MLS MVP. While the clubs have reportedly reached an agreement, still no contract or personal terms between Acosta and the Argentine side have been agreed to officially. He hasn't agreed to a deal with them yet. FC Cincinnati has reportedly reached an agreement with Argentine club Estudiantes for the transfer of the star midfielder and former MLS MVP Lucho Acosta. The club is still under Foster Gillette ownership group. So they have to agree to his salary demands, because he is making a hefty salary, Lucho Acosta, that is. And this is a huge loss for FC Cincinnati, which we're going to get into just one sec. Let me get a drink. So this is disappointing, because Lucho Acosta has been one of the best players in MLS since he's been in MLS, when he played for DC United. And then he went to Atlas. He was so close to moving to PSG, and then he moved to Atlas in Liga MX and kind of flopped there. And then he came back to MLS with Cincinnati back in 2022, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe it was 2021. And he has been one of the best players that I've ever seen in Major League Soccer. He's been a huge difference maker for two clubs. There's been some personal issues with him. We won't get into that specifically, where it looked like he was not going to stay in MLS. He was not going to stay with Cincinnati, more specifically, and he wanted to move back home. Well, this sucks, because he's such a good player. He's only 31 years old, and they just signed a record striker in Kevin Danke. And Kevin Danke was the Golden Boot winner in the Belgian League last year, and Lucho Acosta is a 2023 MVP. I was excited to see these two guys link up, because the whole thing about Cincinnati is that they had everything else in place, except they had a lot of injuries, but everything else was in place and they're healthy except a striker. Aaron Bupenza didn't work out. They sold Brand Vasquez. They signed Kevin Kelsey on a loan deal from Shakhtar in the last season, and he wasn't consistent enough. And they finally get a striker who's good. Kevin Danke, proven, good league, better than MLS, I think the Belgian Pro League is. 27 goals, 23 years old, 24 now, I think. And they finally had all the pieces lined up, connected, ready to go. And now they just lost their number 10. So, like, they take a few steps forward and then they take more steps back. 3 steps forward, 5 steps back. So now they're going to have to replace a guy like Lucho Acosta, who is one of the best playmakers in MLS history. And I would have really loved to see him link up with Kevin Danke. I think they could have been really special in a true MLS Cup contending team. But now we're never going to get to see that probably, because he's going to. I think they'll get something worked out with Estudiantes with the salary, but not seeing Lucho Acosta, an MVP of the league, link up with someone like Kevin Danke is sad. Honestly, it's sad. Now I do wonder if Cincinnati would try to do something like replace Lucho Acosta by buying Evander from Portland. Like, that could be an interesting replacement for him. I don't know if they would do that or spend the money, but that would be an interesting replacement for Lucho Acosta at Cincinnati. But they're gonna have to do something, because if they don't replace Lucho Acosta, it doesn't matter how good Kevin Danke is. They need that number 10 who can score and create chances. I think this team will be worse in 2024 or 2025 than they were in 2024. I don't know how much worse. I still think they're going to be a playoff team, because someone asked me if they were going to be a playoff team in 2025. I do think they'll be a playoff team, but I don't think that they will be as good as they were in 2024, and surely not as good as they were in 2023. Lewis says, I prefer Evander to Costa personally. I think that you could make an argument he could be better. Casey Ellis says, a ton of chatter with Evander in Cincinnati. The money isn't an issue. Ownership are multi-billionaires. Yeah, so that would be a good replacement. Ideally, we'll see if they can make that happen. But let me ask you guys, let's get the chat involved. Do you think Cincinnati will be significantly worse? Well, I think they will be significantly worse. Let me rephrase that. Someone had asked something about Danke. Like, okay, what's a bigger deal? Getting Danke or losing Acosta? Which one do you think is a bigger deal for Cincinnati? Losing Lucho Acosta or signing Kevin Danke, the record-breaking signing for MLS? Which one is a bigger deal? I think that it's a tough one. I mean, Lucho Acosta is probably the best player in their history. So, I mean, losing him is definitely a big deal. I don't know. I would say probably losing Costa is a bigger deal, because we just don't know. We don't know how good Kevin Danke is going to be in MLS. We don't know how good let's see. Jose says losing Acosta. Chris Schaefer says losing Acosta. Davey says losing Acosta. I don't think the team has enough creativity without him. Lewis says if they sign Evander, signing Danke, if not, losing Acosta. D-Life says losing Acosta is worse. I agree. I think it is. You got the best player in the club history, and then you have a guy who is really talented, but you just don't know if he's going to be any good for you. We think he's going to be good. We just don't know. It's a possibility he's not good. Mr. Rich says, if they don't find a decent Acosta replacement, this season will be hard. I mean, to create a playmaker is such a big deal. That's why Toronto FC has been bad, because they don't have a creative playmaker. So when they lost Jovinko, when they lost Pozuelo, they haven't been able to replace that number 10, creative playmaker. And they have really struggled since then. And that's why they've been really, really bad. So we will, let's move on. Jose says Evander is still a risk because of his behavior at Portland. Yeah, I think Portland's just really weird, though, because I think they made him a bunch of promises and they just completely let him down and didn't help him out or give him any help. Keem says, who will replace Acosta? That's the $1 million question. Who will replace Acosta? I don't know. I don't know if they have anything lined up. If they don't, that's a grave mistake. Mr. says, I hope they get Evander away from Phil Neville. Yeah, get everybody away from Phil Neville. Okay, so this is the next rumor. Apparently, Dejan Joveljic, according to Gimme Sport, has a significant offer from Tigres that would triple or almost quadruple his salary if he were to go to Tigres. Now, Dejan Joveljic had the best season of his MLS career. He scored 19 goals in 31 matches. Now, he had two great wingers behind him, or next to him, in Gabriel Peck and Joseph Paintsel. And then he obviously had Ricky Puig behind him, and Maestro, and he had the best season of his career. I mean, and he's 25 years old. He's not a U22 anymore. He can't be a U22 anymore. This was the last season he could be a U22. So I think they should sell him because he only has 1 year left on his deal. The Galaxy could get a hefty fee for him, probably 5 to 6, maybe even $7 million. Sell Dejan Joveljic to Tigres. Get a bunch. They can convert 3 million of that into GAM. Sign a replacement is a U. I would honestly try to go target another U22 striker to put in between Paintsel and Peck. And that way you have a guy for the foreseeable future who could end up being better. And then you have 3 million in GAM that where you can convert to try to build out the roster, try to build your depth a little better, and help solidify this team as a contender again in 2025, especially because they're going to be competing in the CONCACAF Champions Cup. I think they're competing in Leagues Cup too, and the U.S. Open Cup. I think they're competing in all the cups, if I'm not mistaken. Definitely the CONCACAF and I think Leagues Cup. That is the LA Galaxy. I would personally sell him just because he's only got 1 year left. Sell high, $5, $6, $7 million, and then replace him with another U22. And he was really good. John James says Joveljic is a 23 goal player. You are never replacing that with a young DP slot. Well, it's a U22, but he was a U22 and he only had 19 goals. I think they could get someone who could definitely perform at that level because you got to think they have Peck, Paintsel, Puig, the 3 Ps. 3 Ps in a pod, 3 DPPs. And they have all those guys who are giving crazy service to him. So I think they definitely could get somebody. And you don't even need someone who can score 23 goals to do that. You just need someone who can score probably 15. If they get a striker who can score 15 goals up top, this team will be fine. This team will be fine. They will be still probably one of the favorites in the 2025 season to win the league. Jose says, Dejan, don't leave us. I will be bummed. Galaxy will be totally different look. Will be difficult to repeat. I think that Will Kuntz, I trust him to make an addition. I trust him to replace Joveljic. He's done nothing to make me question his judgment, his signings, his philosophy. I think that Will Kuntz could find a solid replacement for Dejan Joveljic. And I think that, and the good news is about a U22 is that you can only spend so much on their salary, but you can spend whatever you want on their fee. So you could go get a South American or someone from Europe if you want to. Go spend $7, $8, $9 million on a striker, a U22 young talented guy, and have him play here for maybe 2 or 3 years. Develop between the great service that he's going to be playing between in front of. And I think that they could score 15 goals. I really do. I think that they could get a U22 who could score 15 goals. I think that's very doable. Diego Gomez was a baller for Inter Miami. Now he's not a striker, but Diego Gomez, they spent $3 million on him for Inter Miami, and he absolutely balled out and sold for 15 or 14 million pounds to Brighton. So you could definitely find a good U22 striker, 100%. I think you definitely could. And that's the thing. This is a good point by Keem. He says Galaxy can't keep him, unfortunately. You're only going to have him for 1 more year, so it's best to sell him now, get $3 million in GAM, to convert that, and sell while you still can. Don't let him just leave for free next year. Sell him while you can still get something, and to help build the rest of your roster out, because this is a team that's trying to win an MLS Cup again in 2025, and they're going to try to win the CONCACAF Champions Cup in 2025. So yes, sell him high. I'm going to ask a question here a second. Before we do, we're at 41 likes. We're 9 away from 50, guys. Let's get to 50. We're at the halfway point almost. Let's get to 50. Like the show down below if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We're like 7 subscribers away from 5,500. Let's get that number tonight. I know we can do it. So subscribe to the channel and hit the little bell notification so you never miss any of my new videos or any of my live streams like this one tonight, or the live watch-alongs. Let's see. Timothy says 15 goal scorers are hard to come by. I think they could find someone for sure. It's pronounced Dejan, not like the mustard. Dejan, sorry, Dejan Joveljic. I always call him Dejan Joveljic. Dejan Joveljic. Gotcha. Appreciate that, Roughneck. How long is Puig out for? Without Puig, this is an average team. Should probably wait until the summer to see where the team is, in standings before they rush a signing. I don't know how long Ricky Puig is going to be out. He could be out 5 months. He could be out 8 months. It really just depends on what his recovery looks like and how well he heals. But I wouldn't expect him to play until like probably July or August. That's what I talked to Kevin Baxter about when I had him on the show. He seemed to think he would be back this year, but probably in the summertime. Okay, so we're going to get to Atlanta United here in a second, but let me ask you this. If you were the LA Galaxy, would you sell Joveljic to Tigres or would you keep him? Would you sell Joveljic to Tigres or would you keep him with the Galaxy in 2025? Let me know down below what you guys would do if you were Will Kuntz. And I'm going to look up what Joveljic's transfer market value is. I'm sure it's probably went up a little bit since he had a great season. Yeah, so Joveljic's 2025 value is right now 6.5 million euros. So, and I think that's the highest. Yeah, that's the most he's ever been worth. He just got a bump here in December, 6.5 million. So I think they could probably sell him for probably $6 to $7 million. Let's see what you guys think. They can't win trophies without Joveljic. What about Atlanta United? We'll get in that second. Adam says sell. Roughneck says sell. John says I'd rather sell Paintsel. I would not sell Paintsel. I think Paintsel is a stud. I think he's definitely underappreciated. Jose says yes if the Galaxy get their asking price. Lewis says they have to sell him good money to get a U23. Royce, Paintsel, Peck, and Puig. Any striker will score goals. That's what I like. I don't want to downplay Joveljic because I think he's good, but I think with the service, I think that they can find an adequate replacement. I think they could find someone who can score goals. Like, I don't think that that's going to be an issue. So that's what kind of eases it for me, like puts my mind at ease about what they can do, because I think they'll be able to, replace him. Like, I think they'll be able to find someone who can score goals for them because of the service they're going to have. Adam says, from a business perspective, you'd be an idiot not to sell. It does depend on what the price is. It does depend on what they can get from. Like, if Tigres is offering like 3 to 4 million, then hell no, I'm not selling them. But if they're offering, like I said, 6 to 7, I'd sell them all day. John James says Puig is not playing the season. I think he definitely plays. Justin Blair says, good friend of the show, says hold. So you keep Joveljic. Man, but I just don't. I wouldn't want to take the chance of losing him for free. Because I don't think he would re-sign. And Joveljic is probably going to want a DP deal just because he did score 19 goals. He's going to want a pay raise. And I don't know if he's worth that to the LA Galaxy, honestly. Timothy says, don't sell, go for 7. I think they could get 7 without him, honestly, as long as they replace him with someone decent, like a U22 who's actually got some serious talent and some promise. Jeremiah says, sell. Lewis says, if they sign a young striker and he scores goals as well, that's profit right there. Josu Solano says, I'm pretty sure he'll make 2 to 3 times. That's what they reported. Yeah, 2 to 3 times the salary. Makes sense for the players too. And it really sucks that we're not able to compete with some of these players that Liga MX are able to buy from us, like Matty Bogusz, like Joveljic. They're buying players from our teams that are very good core players that we just can't afford to keep, the only reason we can't afford to keep them is nothing because of actual, these teams are broke. They can't afford it. Like, the club would go under if they paid this. It's because of the silly rules. We all know they're silly rules. They could afford it if they wanted to. The Galaxy or AEG is insanely rich. They could afford to keep Joveljic if they wanted to. They could pay him $5 million a year if they wanted to, but they can't because of the silly rules, and they are forced to sell him when they could keep this core together for many, many years. That's the shame of it. Joveljic will go to Tigres and probably make $4 million a year. And it's a shame because MLS can't compete with that, because if they did, it would take up one of their precious DP spots, which they're not going to do. So that's a shame, but that's just the way it is in MLS. That's just the way it is. A lot of you guys, Garber out. Yeah, don't get me started. Don't get me started. We're trying to keep this PG tonight. But that is definitely something to keep an eye on. And we're going to move on to another rumor that was reported I think by Give Me Sport, if I'm not mistaken. And that was a new target for Atlanta United, a new striker target. And that is Arthur Cabral, the Brazilian striker who currently plays for Benfica. He's got 8 goals and 43 appearances. He kind of reminds me a little bit of Peter Musa, who also played for Benfica last year before he came to FC Dallas. And I mean, they paid quite a bit of money for him, though. I mean, they paid 20 million euros, 5 million in add-ons, and the striker's release clause is 100 million at Benfica for Cabral. Now they bought him almost a year and a half ago, and he hasn't really panned out. He's only got 8 goals and 43 appearances. So not ideal, but the Portuguese league is definitely better than the championship, right? I mean, I think the Portuguese league is probably the 6th best league in the world. I mean, you could make an argument it's just as good as the French league if you take PSG out. I mean, you could make an argument for that. And the championship is probably top 10, maybe I'd say. So he's not scoring as much as what Latte Lath is scoring, but he is cheaper and he's playing in a better league. But this is interesting. Now, Latte Lath, they say there's all these. Now, I'm not saying that he's not better. I mean, he probably is better. But I don't think that's like a slam dunk. Okay. Latte Lath is I saw a report earlier. I don't know if it was a joke, but someone said that there was 2 teams bidding for him 28 million. There is just no way in hell I'm paying almost 30 million for a championship striker like that. There's just no way I'm paying that. No way. No way I'm paying that. Right? I mean, honestly, at that point, why doesn't Atlanta just spend 25 million on Pepe and try to get him from PSV? He's got a better scoring goals per game than Latte Lath, and their Eredivisie's better than the championship. You know, imagine what Pepe would be doing if he was starting for PSV more regularly instead of, playing behind De Jong. I mean, who knows how many goals he would have. Now, I'm not, Pepe wouldn't come to MLS that soon, but you get what I'm saying, though. Like, you could get someone better for that. Like, I just cannot believe that possibly the first player in MLS history, that could be $30 million is going to be a championship player. I mean, who the hell would have predicted that? Who would have honestly predicted that? And I'm not downplaying the championship. I think it's a good league. I think the championship is better than MLS. I do think that. But I would have just never thought that an MLS team would spend 30 million on a championship player. 30 million? Now, that was a rumor, the 28 million. It's not technically 30. Someone said there's 2 teams bidding 28 million for Latte Lath. If Latte Lath costs $30 million to come to MLS, this dude better tear this league a new one. Like, he better be scoring 30 goals a season. 30 goals a season. He better be the best striker we have ever seen in Major League Soccer history. That's how good he has to be if they're spending that kind of money. And I just can't believe that's even even up for the discussion, up for debate that MLS would spend that on him. It blows my mind that they would even consider that. Now, look, if you don't like Arthur Cabral, that's fine. There's other options. Now, I know strikers are obviously going to cost a premium, and there's inflation with strikers. $1 million per goal. Exactly, right? I mean, damn, dude, that's crazy. That's crazy. I mean, still, that's insane. Like, that is, and Kevin Danke has better goal scoring production, and he was cheaper for FC Cincinnati. But if you're spending 30 million, this dude better be like the clear-cut best player in the league. Like, he better be absolutely dismantling defenses, and we know how the defending is in Major League Soccer. So he better be making them look even worse than most of them already look if he's costing that kind of money. John Rollins, a good friend of the show, says NWSL has a salary cap and that's it. They eliminated the draft and have gone full open market. It must be nice. Maybe MLS could try to poach the NWSL commissioner when Don Garber retires in 100 years or whenever it is, because I feel like the guy is just never going to retire at this point. I think he might actually outlive me at this point, as long as he's going to be the commissioner. He was supposed to retire like 8 years ago, 10 years ago, and he just keeps lingering around. Lewis says Latte Loth is better than Cabral. Mr. says, you're right. The Portuguese league is probably the sixth best league in the world. Yeah, I mean, I think you have to account for that when we're talking about comparing these players and what their production will be and what they could do in this league. Isaac says, with 30 million, Atlanta could bid for Rashford. I mean, seriously, the quality player you could get for 30 million. I mean, you could get some really good players in South America for 30 million. Like, that is insane. That is absolutely insane. 30 million for him. Now, and the Atlanta United fans get so mad at me for saying that. It's like I'm trying to help you guys out. Like I'm trying to be the voice of reason and be like, hey, you guys are willing to like Arthur Blank has a lot of money and he's willing to spend it on his team, but like, are you going to spend it on a player who's not you're overpaying severely for? Like, I'm trying to be the person that's like, hey, let's take a step back because some fans get excited. They hear that their team's linked with a player and they talk themselves into it. I do this with my teams that I like, my Titans or my Barcelona, or whoever it may be. I talk myself. That's what fans do. Fanatics. We talk ourselves into things, and we cope with it. Right. I don't see how we can talk ourselves into $30 million for a championship striker who scores every 2 games. I just don't see if they're going to do that. I pose a question to you guys. If they're going to spend $30 million on Latte Loth, right? Why don't they just write a check to Cincinnati or to Columbus for 20 million? Hey, I'll give you 20 million for Cucho Hernandez. I'll give you 20 million for Cucho Hernandez. I'll write you a check today, 20 million for Cucho Hernandez. You're getting a guy who is more productive in Major League Soccer than Latte Loth. There's nobody going to convince me that Latte Loth is better than Cucho Hernandez. I think Cucho Hernandez is better than Latte Loth. That's my opinion. He scored 44 goals in 72 matches. Now he had to adjust in his first year under Caleb Porter, but since he's been playing with Wilfred Nancy, he's been very, very good. He scores about a goal every. I think he scores about 3 goals every 4 games, about 75% of the time. And he's a playmaker too. Like that, I would much rather. Well, I think Columbus would sell if the offer is right because I think that they've been talking about it. But I think that Cucho Hernandez, I would much rather pay $20 million for him. I would much rather call up Columbus and say, look, I will give you 20 to 25 million for Cucho Hernandez because the guy was like 3rd place or 2nd place in the MVP race. He's 25 years old. He's actually the same age as Latte Loth. I think he actually might be a little younger. And I would try to buy Cucho Hernandez. Cucho to Atlanta over Latte Loth. Not bad at all. You already doing it better than Garth. I just think that you could get him for that price. You could get Cucho if you're willing to pay that. You could get Cucho Hernandez. And here's the thing, like I said, you're taking a huge gamble on a guy who has never played in a first division other than the Swiss Super League, okay? And he only scored 14 goals in 31 appearances. Or you could get the runner-up MVP, 25 years old, 26 in April, 18 million euros, probably could get him for 20. You could get a proven goal scorer playmaker in MLS who's already here. Get the proven guy. Don't take a chance. Don't try to get some guy who may or may not be good, but you're putting a lot of hope and faith into Latte Loth. Honestly, a lot. And I just don't think it's worth it. There's no way in hell. You guys tell me, who would you rather have? Would you rather have Emmanuel Latte Loth or Cucho Hernandez if you're Atlanta United? Which one would you guys rather have? Let's just say the price is the same. We'll even it out. We won't say one's cheaper than the other. If they're the same price, who would you rather have? Cucho Hernandez or Emmanuel Latte Loth? Lewis says Latte Loth. I would like you to expand on that. Let me know why you would rather have Latte Loth. What about him would make you want him over Cucho Hernandez? Mr. says Cucho easily. John Rollins says Cucho. Casey Ellis says Cucho. Cucho over Latte Loth easy. Like I just don't even think it's close. Like this is a proven commodity in Major League Soccer who has won an MLS Cup, won the League's Cup, balled out, carried the team. Breck Shea, hey, that's a good shout. What about Harry Shipp? Cucho, but Columbus selling isn't realistic. I think they would. They just want the right money for him. They want the right price. Like they're not going to let him go for 15 mil. If they sell Cucho, they want like 20, 25 mil for him. But dude, I would honestly pay that for him. I would pay 20 or 25 mil for him. I'd pay 20 or 25 mil for Cucho. He's a proven. We're going to see these interleague transfers happen. He's the kind of guy I would do it for. Personally, I would definitely do it for Cucho Hernandez. We got 82 in the chat right now, guys. We're at 56 likes. We're going to get to 100 by tomorrow. I know we will definitely get to 100 by tomorrow, but let's get to 70 before the stream ends. We got about 10 minutes left, maybe 15. Let's get to 70. Hit that thumbs up button down below if you haven't already. Comment down below if you have any questions. Subscribe to the channel. We're 6 away from 5,500. Big accomplishment, halfway to 6,000, our goal by MLS opening day. And also, consider being a member of the channel if you haven't already. It helps us out. If you like the content, you like what I make, you enjoy watching my videos, consider being a member of the channel. There's a link down below, only 10 cents a day, and there will be benefits for members. All your questions will be answered on all live streams. You get sneak peeks to content being made. You have influence on content being made, and there will be some Q&As and some FIFA games, FC 25, 26 we will be playing in the near future, and I will have my gamer tag in the members chat only. So consider being a member if you haven't already. Let's see. His pace will absolutely rip teams to shreds in this league. I'm from near where Latte Loth plays. That's why I speak good on him. He's got 14 goal contributions in 20 games, and Burrow are inconsistent and poor. Yeah, but what if what if he just doesn't fit? Like I know that you can't think like that on all moves, but what if he just isn't a fit for the team? What if he just fails massively or miserably? What if he's terrible and you just spent $30 million on a guy who sucks? I mean, we're talking about the MLS record for incoming transfer. Like this guy has got to make a huge difference. Like he's got to be someone who is shredding the league. He can't just be another player. He can't be someone who scores 15 goals or 18 goals and 10 assists. Like, no, this guy has got to be the best player in the league or top 3 in the league. Chicho Arango. Yeah, Chicho Arango for 1.5 million was a steal. Chicho Arango was a steal for San Jose, and they're paying $25 million, $30 million for a guy who might not even be able to score more goals than Chicho Arango. Graham says, "Why is Toronto FC so horrible?" Look, we don't have all night to talk about that. That we'll be here all night if we get that, go down that rabbit hole. There's a lot of reasons why they're terrible, but we'll see if they can get it turned around under Robin Fraser. I'm a little skeptical, but we will see if they can get some things in order under Robin. Wasn't there some other news? There was some other news, if I'm not mistaken, another transfer. Nashville obviously traded a international roster spot to Miami. Miami's just been hoarding the international roster spots. By the way, that game against Universitario is 0-0, so scoreless. Thank God I didn't watch that game. I'm ready for the real games to happen. John Rollins says Denke is a better signing for half the money. Yeah, exactly. Like, John, I'm telling you, man, I don't understand some of these teams' mindsets. Like they're spending money just to spend money. 17 million euros for a Golden Boot winner in the Belgian league, top 8 league in the world, I would say. No brainer, good deal. Hell, even Anders Dreyer, the signing for San Diego. I think he was second in the Dutch or in the Belgian league in 2020, the same year that Denke won the Golden Boot. He was second place in the Golden Boot race. He had 19 goals in 37 matches for Anderlecht, and he only sold for 5.5 million euros to San Diego, and he's the same age, 26, same age. He's a winger, and they spent 5.5 million euros on him. He was valued at 10 million euros. They got an absolute steal for him. So I don't get it. I just don't get it. I mean, I could be wrong. He could be good, but the price is too much in my opinion. Don't get me wrong. I just am like 95% sure he would score 20 plus for years on end. Still not in his prime too. You don't think he's in his prime? I mean, damn, he's like 26, isn't he? I mean, that's when do you consider being in your prime? I mean, 26, I'd say he's in your prime, right? And that's the thing too. Like he just doesn't have a good track record. I mean, he's played in Serie C, like one of the worst leagues in the. I mean, it's not the worst league in the world, but it's not good. And he's only the only first division he has ever played for is in the Swiss league. He scored 14 goals in 31 matches. So I'm just not impressed by that. I think they could do better. And that just the cost doesn't make any sense. The cost does not make any sense for for Atlanta United. That's just wasting money. Now the Miguel Moran deal looks like that has happened. It looks like they're back with that. Like that's going to go through. Um, hopefully, hopefully that there's no hiccups that he actually does. Now there is one other. I think there's one other. Uh, was it? I think it was Alejandro Zendejas, right? That was the other player they were talking about going to Orlando City. Alejandro Zendejas, I think, was the most recent one. It hasn't went through. I don't know if there's a hiccup with it where it might not happen, but a player's prime is usually 27 to 31. In soccer, I think it's a little different because they normally bloom and they perform pretty well earlier than they do in other sports. I would say I mean, you can still be really good at that age, but I would say your prime is more like 24 to like 28 is what I would consider your prime. So I think he's entered his prime. But he's still in it though, I guess. But Alejandro Zendejas, like this would be an interesting signing. Now this could be a replacement for Facundo Torres, who they have not replaced yet at Orlando City SC. And I mean, he's had a decent career at America and Necaxa, and he's part. You know, he's obviously represents the United States, and he played at the FC Dallas Academy, so he'd be returning home. I just don't know if this is. I don't know if this is underwhelming for a replacement for Facundo Torres because Facundo Torres was such a big deal for Orlando City, and they obviously sold him for like what 13, 14 million to Palmeiras. I just think they could do better than that to replace Facundo. Like they need to go sign another young winger either in South America or somewhere else that they could kind of rinse and repeat and try to flip. Because I just don't think Zendejas is going to be able to live up to Torres's his not legacy, but what he was able to do on the pitch for Orlando. I think Orlando's going to desperately miss him. And there was also the rumor about like Duncan McGuire replacing him as a DP. I don't like that at all. Don't like that at all. John Rollins, who would definitely know, he says, I think America want too much. Yeah, I don't remember what the fee was. Was it like 5 to 6 or something like that? Maybe 7 million, or maybe it was more than that. I don't think he's worth that. I think they could get someone better. Especially Facundo, you know, because of all the money they got for Facundo Torres. But God, please do not let them make Duncan McGuire a DP. For the love of God, do not. Okay, not true. Duncan is not DP. Yeah, but there's been rumblings that they might make him a DP or re-sign him again. Do not do that. Hopefully, I hope. I think I saw that on Twitter. Hopefully, that was just BS. We are still shopping for a DP winger. I think what you meant. Yeah. Or yeah. Okay. Yeah, I hopefully you can get someone. Zendejas, I think, is too much. Like you said, they could do better than that. MLS should bring in Ansu Fati to the States. And Mr. says they should if they can sort his wages out. Ansu Fati is that winger. Yeah, that would be interesting. We need to see more teams try to take swings at some of these players in Europe. Like some of these guys that aren't getting minutes are struggling. We need to try to get some of these guys to come over here in MLS and play and see if they can get some minutes, revitalize their career, get things going in the right direction. Now, here's the throwback for you guys, okay? And I'm going to end on this. Trivia question. What World Cup goalkeeper played in MLS on a short stint for 6 months because he wasn't playing for his club to prepare for the upcoming World Cup that year? World Cup veteran goalkeeper, one of the best goalkeepers of all time. What goalkeeper in MLS? Who was that? World Cup veteran goalkeeper came to MLS on a 6-month loan to get some minutes. because he wasn't getting any minutes at his club, and he's one of the best goalkeepers and just in the history of the game. Do you know who it is? Okay. Yeah, I see one yep. Okay. There we go. You guys know your stuff. You guys know your stuff. Do you know who he played for? Do you know who he played for though? I would even say João Felix. It doesn't hurt to try. Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. That'd be interesting. It is not Matt Turner. It is definitely not Matt Turner. It is Julio Cesar. And he played for Toronto FC. That's very people forget that. In 2014, he played with Jermaine Defoe and Michael Bradley with Toronto FC for 6 months. He was on loan from Queen Parks Rangers, and he played pretty well. And he only played 7 games, but he played really well, good enough to get keep his form and start for Brazil in the 2014 World Cup. Finished 4th place. I think it was 4th place, maybe it was 3rd place. And when Germany beat him, I think it was 4th place. And then he played for Benfica for a couple years. Yes, Toronto FC. That's a throwback. That's a throwback. But look, see that the reason I bring that up is because why aren't we? This happened in 2014. One of the best goalkeepers of our lifetime came to MLS to get minutes in 2014. Think about how much better MLS is now versus it was 10 years ago, 11 years ago. So I want to see more players. Why aren't we seeing more players like this? It didn't have to be exactly like him, but you know what I'm saying? Players that are that are good who are just not getting minutes in their respected leagues come over to MLS and get some playing time. We need to see more of that. Hopefully it happens. We'll see what happens in the future. But guys, listen, I appreciate you for tuning in tonight. I apologize for the voice. I'm still getting over the flu. I'm glad I got to link up with you guys. I'm going to try my best to get that expansion video out tomorrow. But because I'm sick, I don't know if I'll be able to. It might not be till Friday. But either way, we will get it out either tomorrow or Friday. So be on the lookout for that. Also, like the stream down below. Let's get to 100 likes by tomorrow. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit the little bell notification so you never miss a video. And also, consider being a member of the channel. It helps us out. Only 10 cents a day. Really appreciate you guys. Love you guys. Thank you for coming, stopping by tonight. And until next time, I will see you all soon.